This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
We are the land of 10,000 lakes, 10,000 fraud cases, and the $70 pastrami sandwich. That's another T-shirt possibility for the Great Minnesota Get-Together as we continue to try to put together some ideas. I sent a bunch to Lil B and to you. I copied what I sent to her. So keep them coming if you have suggestions as well as we get ever closer to the state fair. Lavelle in less than a half hour. Top 5 now.
Justin Jefferson left practice yesterday, had some tightness in maybe his legs, but certainly one leg. And today, didn't practice at all. In fact, won't practice for a while. It is a left hamstring strain. Mild is what they're calling it. Kevin O'Connell telling reporters they avoided something serious. Says he has no questions about Justin for the opener against the Bears. But the team is going to be, as you would imagine, very cautious. This, by the way, a different leg. I guess the other leg. I do like that. People are describing it as a different leg. It's the other leg. A couple of years ago or a year ago, he had a right leg problem.
2 years ago, yeah.
This year, it's the left hamstring. So Justin Jefferson will be sidelined for the foreseeable future because, as you know, Dan, hamstrings are tricky.
Very tricky, and he's too valuable a commodity to mess with. I don't think this has to end up being the story of camp, but it's never helpful. For the obvious reason that you got a new quarterback. The quarterback who I had not seen the quotes that you brought to my attention that Justin Jefferson seemed to be downplaying and reminding people, let's not get ahead of ourselves, people. You know, this ain't Aaron Rodgers in his prime. He didn't use those words, but it might take a minute or two. So do you think that was the decided effort by JJ yesterday to sort of lower the temperature on expectations a bit?
Maybe. It's one of those things where let's see how the season goes. JJ's actually been pretty good about even talking about himself. Mm-hmm. Like quarterback, when people would ask him, who do you want to be the quarterback of the future? He said, I don't care. I put up 1,000 one year and had 4 quarterbacks. It didn't matter. Basically saying, I'm so good, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. So I'm hoping that's kind of his mentality this season as well.
Stay tuned.
Whether it's JJ McCarthy or Max Brosmer. Because at some point it could be Brosmer.
Well,
Brosmer throws a catchable ball too. JJ would love it.
If he's the backup to start the season and perish the thought, JJ, tweaks a hammy, then presumably that means Brosmer would be elevated to starting quarterback. You'd love that, wouldn't you?
I would.
You'd love that.
I think everybody would.
But you're not rooting for any injury here.
No, of course not. Of course
I don't want Ziggy to get the wrong idea.
Ziggy.
We're the Viking station.
You're right.
Right? We're not applauding and rooting for, hoping for injury.
One of my favorite things that I remember people doing at some point, and I can't remember when it was when we had all the injuries like Sam Bradford and Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater. Remember we had at one point that quarterback room, and then they were all together at one point. And we didn't know if any of them were ever going to play again.
Yes.
But we had people describing it as nobody's got a deeper quarterback room than the Vikings do.
Right.
Which might be true, but it's also irrelevant because most teams just have a good starter and don't necessarily have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Like if you're boasting about the depth of your quarterback room.
That's what Glenn Mason said forever. If you tell people you got 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
That's true.
And this goes even deeper. They were talking about the entire quarterback room.
The pair and a spare was for running backs, not for quarterbacks.
That's it.
You don't want a pair and a spare.
So clearly the one disappointing aspect of this that might have some meaning is just the time lost between the number 1 quarterback, the kid quarterback, and the best wide receiver, right? That's the thing. Now, can that be made up? Yes. I don't want to overstate the chemistry thing, but I think it's stating the obvious that the more you can have the two of them working together, getting a feel for one another, the better. And that, in the short term, is what's lost here, even though there doesn't seem to be any reason to believe this is going to develop into a significant injury.
I'm pulling up the Vikings schedule quickly because It's August 16th that they have the preseason game against the Patriots when they'll have the
That's
joint
the second
practices.
one, right?
Yes. Yeah. You'd like, in a perfect world, to have JJ back for that. Just so he can do the practices there with Justin or with JJ McCarthy.
I bet you he's back before then. But again, you're right. They're going to be cautious because you don't want it to become a bigger issue. I honestly do think there's a good chance that you're going to see your J-Mac in the first preseason game. Because I think, as Gessling laid out, you're probably not going to see him in the second because you will have seen him with the Patriots in those joint scrimmages. So you probably want to spare putting him back out there again in the game. And the third preseason game is the third preseason game.
Right.
We know that's meaningless. So, to me, the most logical conclusion is that if he's going to play in the preseason at all, you play him in that first one at home, and maybe you don't play him long, but you actually put him out there a little bit, and presumably with some other starters. I mean, I don't love the idea of putting him. I wouldn't put him out there if it's all backups next to him. But if you say, all right, this is the game based on our schedule and what we like and our priorities, where for a quarter and a half, we're going to play some of our main people. To me, because that's at home, right? So you put them in front of the home crowd. It's at home. I think that's the one where if it's going to happen, it's going to happen then.
Saturday, August 9th.
2 weeks from tomorrow, right?
3 o'clock against the Houston Texans, gun belt tight. Mike Tyson, the news today, not because he did anything recently, but because 20 years ago,
that we know of,
he got caught reselling his Super Bowl tickets, was fined $120,000.
Yeah.
Why is it relevant today? Because the NFL, in like a sting operation, big crackdown, has fined more than 100 players and roughly 24 club employees for reselling Super Bowl 59 tickets above face value, which is a direct violation of league policy. The crackdown follows an internal investigation that revealed widespread abuse of the ticket distribution system. The investigation found several individuals sold their tickets to a small group of third-party bundlers who then flipped them for profit. Those who participated in those such arrangements will face further discipline. So, the Mike Tice ticket scandal story lives to see another day.
And a local angle. We want to know how many Vikings, because that so far no names have surfaced. If the NFL follows through, if this story is accurate, they're going to name names, aren't they? Don't you think? Or they're going to get leaked one way or the other.
I would imagine more they'll get leaked.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to publish a list or anything.
Well, they published Tice's name.
I know.
I mean, they certainly weren't.
And Dean Dalton, the former running backs coach.
That's true.
He got in trouble. He got popped for $10,000.
In the fine print of the ESPN story, they also suggest there are coaches in this.
Yes.
They don't say whether head coaches are involved or assistant coaches or whatever, because the first headline is just players. But eventually they get to the possibility that some coaches, one would presume assistants, but who knows?
Yeah.
Tice was a head coach when he did it. And as I said earlier, Sean Salisbury's reaction to this story was, we literally all used to do it in the 80s and 90s. All of us did it. It wasn't even news.
Right. Which I believe.
Which is probably true. It's just interesting then, if that's the case, what triggered this time where there was an investigation apparently and punishments forthcoming? Was it they didn't cover their tracks as well? Is it over a period of years the NFL has just gotten a little more lax with it again, and the word got out that, hey, you can get away with this, no one's really checking it out? I don't know. But in any case, it's one of the stories being followed this weekend.
People wondering what are the fines, what are the punishments? Players who resold their tickets for profit will be fined 1.5 times the amount they paid for the tickets and lose their right to purchase Super Bowl tickets for the next 2 seasons unless
they play in it.
They're playing in the game.
Well, that eliminates the Vikings.
Club employees face fines up to double the ticket's face value, which I think is backwards. I think the players should be fined more. They're probably making more than the club employees.
Well, when they say club employees, do they mean leaders or do they mean like average rubes? I don't know. You know what I mean? Is it when you say a club?
Is it a coach or is it media relations?
Yes.
Or, I don't know.
Or is it just,
they just say club employees.
Yeah, interesting. We'll find out. Yeah, I don't know what the distinction would be. Now, if you're in a leadership position, I could see where, and I think that's what they're trying to, that's why they're trying to make an example out of Tice, that there's got to be a little bit more teeth to, I think there should be more teeth to it than a player. But if it's an average rube, not so much. I don't know. In fact, but I don't even know if there needs to be a distinction.
Right.
Anyway.
Twins back home, back in action tonight. They're 49-53. The Washington Nationals come to town 41-39. and 61. It's Zebby Matthews opposing Mackenzie Gore tonight. First pitch, 7:10.
What a matchup.
And as
That's
I pull
a
up the
dream
standings,
matchup is what
exactly.
it is.
If you weren't thinking about going,
you tell people Zebby's, taken to the mound.
against Mackenzie Gore,
To the bump? Are you kidding me? Let's go.
Twins
Let's
are
play.
5 games back of the final wild card spot.
And 9 teams.
1, 2, 3, 4 teams.
Oh, only 4?
I guess 5 if you count Boston,
Technically?
which you need to. 5 teams
Ahead of them.
ahead of them in the wild card spot.
I think we still have the 11th best record in the league, something like that. Last I checked.
Dan at BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Final keyword of the week is credit. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit.
Lavelle at the bottom of the hour, and when we come back, we attempt to speak directly to one of the most popular former players in National Basketball Association history, and we attempt to ask him one simple question. Shaquille O'Neal, why the hate? Back with that in a minute.
Comedian Jordan Klepper is bringing the laughs to the Fillmore. Great spot. December 14th with the Suffering Fools Tour. One night only. High energy, big laughs, no filter. And tickets are available now. Get all the details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
It's the National Basketball Association story that I'm beginning to believe is never going to go away. And it's the apparently visceral, palpable hatred that one Shaquille O'Neal still harbors with Rudy Gobert. Apparently in a recent podcast, it's called
It's always a podcast.
The Big Podcast with Shaq. Not a particularly catchy name, but he's Shaq. He does, what the hell? It doesn't make any difference. He's a billionaire. The Big Podcast with Shaq. Yesterday, I think the podcast dropped, or at least first got reported. I'll have to clean it up, which, of course, didn't always happen yesterday.
Let me call Brett.
I bleeping hate Rudy Gobert. Because that bleeper making $250 million and he don't deserve it, dog, bleep that. As the president of the Big Man Alliance, you making big money, play like a bleeping big man. That's it. Throw some elbows. Knock some people out. Don't be letting little white dudes from Denver dunk on you and talk bleep to you. I have a lot of questions about what's already been offered, but let me go on first. If Rudy Gobert gets into the Hall of Fame, I'll wear this dress to the bleeping ceremony, O'Neal said while holding up a picture of Charles Barkley wearing a dress in a Weight Watchers commercial. Is anybody going to do an intervention? It's reached the point, again, look, it's a free country. Opinions are out there, especially in sports.
Every former player has a podcast.
Rudy Gobert ain't going to curl up in the fetal position. He's going to be fine. He's a billionaire, or he's going to be one probably by the time he gets done investing. So I get all that. But it sounds like the recurring theme has more to do with the money.
With Shaq, it does.
Because Shaq feels like he never made as much, because he came along at the wrong time. Didn't get the big money that people get more recently, right after he was done with his career. And it sounds like that's the issue. And he feels like, well, if you get that kind of money, you have to be defined in a way I want to define you as a big man. That's powerful, knocking people around, able to score obviously more effectively than Gobert is. But it's a kind of a continuation of the theme that we discussed during the playoffs this past year again, that you reach a point with it where you go, well, this is becoming pathological. This is becoming something well beyond just sort of the normal give and take, debating the relative talents of a player. And I do think, this has been suggested before, I think some of it is that he's French. That he didn't grow up in the United States of America. This sense of, he just seems too good for the rest of us. And he doesn't knock people around necessarily. He doesn't, but it's gotten to a point of absurdity.
It's beyond absurd. It's past it, I think. You
worry, and I guess it's, I don't know how often he does the podcast. You need subject matter. You need to get people going. He's getting exactly the reaction that I guess he wants to make. There's a quote. This was, if you go back to I forgot about this. Last season, O'Neal told Complex that Gobert was the worst NBA player of all time, along with Ben Simmons.
I think we played that.
Did we?
Yeah.
And then at that time, Gobert responded with, "It's sad to see someone that has accomplished as much as you, Shaq, did in both sports and business, still be triggered by another man's finances and accomplishments. I get the entertainment part, but unlike other folks, you don't need that stuff to stay relevant," which was a good answer.
It was great.
Because, in fact, Shaquille O'Neal is, if he's not a billionaire yet, he's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think people understand how well he has done away from the game.
Yes.
I mean, his numbers are absurd.
He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
He's made a lot of good decisions.
And made a lot of good decisions, obviously. So you'd think because of that, he'd be, if he didn't have that, maybe I understand why he's resentful on the basketball side regarding the money. But he's got the money. And for him, I think it's almost like he's protecting the center brand. And in his mind, Rudy just doesn't belong with him, with Shaq, with Kareem, with,
Wilt,
Bill Russell. But nobody's putting him there.
Nobody has ever put him there.
No one's ever put him there. And that's the part I don't think I understand. And what is surprising is that a player who's supposed to understand the nuances of the game beyond just scoring figures, right, would at least have some subtle understanding of the impact statistically and even analytically that it's undeniable that Gobert has had over a period of years, first in Utah in terms of defensive brilliance, and the defensive improvement of the Wolves, no matter what your frustrations are about his hands, because I have those too, and his offense at times is dramatic. The team was transformed defensively. Now, that's a more specialized skill, and maybe you don't associate that with $250 million a year. But we're in a different world when it comes to finances, as we know. I mean, there's below-average players that make $25 million in a season. So what got this going again now? I don't know. There may be boredom. Maybe somebody, jerked his chain on it, said something that got him going. I don't know. But I had not seen this particular one drop.
Yeah.
Where you'd like to think at some point, somebody in his world would say, "Man, this is not the guy worth beating up on anymore." What you're going to do, Shaq, what this should do is make Rudy a more sympathetic character, even if you don't care about Rudy. You go, why does Rudy Gobert deserve this? It just doesn't even make any sense. And do we know the specifics about the little white guy who dunked over him in Denver? That
must be Christian
trash?
Brown.
Who's he talking about?
It's got to be is it Christian Brown?
Maybe that's what it was.
Because he had a dunk over him one time.
That's right.
But that was like 2 years ago, and the Wolves knocked him out of the playoffs. Who won the series? It's frustrating.
Who won the series?
The Wolves.
The Wolves did.
Yeah.
The Wolves became the team that figured out how to beat Denver. Now, Denver might have another answer this year.
Yeah.
I think they got a chance to rebound nicely, but that's the fact. If you're a player, again, isn't winning the series more important than whatever your vitriol is about what that given player can or can't do? Or what happens whether somebody dunked over him? They won the series. I thought if you're a player, so that's as I say, a fan would say.
I know.
I thought players are supposed to be smarter than that, but he can't.
They're not though.
He can't see past the money part.
A lot of these players are not though. we've learned.
You're right. We have learned the hard way.
I mean, look at Gilbert Arenas' podcast,
Correct.
Paul Pierce's podcast. Look at what's going on with how Caitlin Clark is getting ranked in player surveys on the WNBA.
Yes, correct.
Players sometimes are the worst arbiters of truth, honestly, because I'm sure they get in their silos like we get in our silos, right?
Let's go back to this other thing. When the trade was made, it was declared by a lot of people, the Wolves acquiring Rudy, as the worst trade in the history of basketball, right? I assume those people now know that's a ludicrous position.
I don't think enough do.
Because
I don't think enough do.
There have been several, in fact, even about all the number one picks they gave up, who was the Nick?
Bridges.
5 number ones for him.
Yeah.
So, again, in the end, they haven't won an NBA title with Rudy. I'll grant you that point.
Look at the Desmond Bain trade.
But they've gotten to exactly. They've gotten to the conference finals 2 consecutive years. So for all the vitriol about this is stupid. You can't make that kind of trade for a big man who can't score. Well, the bottom line is they got into the Final Four 2 straight years.
Correct.
And I'm not here to tell you that if I'm listing the reasons why they didn't get further, that he's at the top of the list. There are some things he didn't do as well this year as I think he did the year before. And there were some parts of his game the prior year that were a bit disappointing. He's not perfect. He's not above criticism. But it's the cottage industry on this thing. I just wish, is there any superstar player, either current or former, who has the cojones to stand up and say, what are we doing with this guy? This is an embarrassment.
Right.
Why are we constantly offering this vitriol on a player? What is it? He didn't grow up in the he didn't grow up in Louisiana, for God's sake. He's French, and he comes across a little more subtle. Why are we're making ourselves look small and look bad with this obsession, mocking and ridiculing Rudy Gobert to the degree that he's being mocked and ridiculed?
It goes back to what I've said now.
One guy. Give me one guy.
I know. I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I haven't seen anybody. But I gave up a long time ago trying to convince people about Rudy Gobert because...
Yeah, it's fruitless.
It's fruitless because everybody's got their opinion.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it... And by the way...
in a viral sense, he can look bad on a viral video. He can be made to look bad. His ankles can be broken. Somebody can dunk over him. He can lose the ball 3 times on the same play. Right?
100%.
That's all viral BS, but that's what fuels us now.
The year before the Western Conference Final, the first trip, they don't make the playoffs without Rudy.
Correct.
When Cat was down for 50 games or whatever it is. So you're right. The sympathetic part of it, I cheer harder for Rudy Gobert than maybe any Timberwolf because of all of it.
And this adds to it.
Because he doesn't deserve any of it.
I would be so refreshed to have just one, like I said, guy with a huge name going, This is moronic. What are we doing here? But I don't know. No one seems willing, I guess, to go down that particular road for whatever reason. Poke the bear, choke Gobert, Shaq don't care, Wolves in 2026. That's from Flim Flam. Vegas, Dateline Vegas next. That's where our next guest is. We'll find out why and what he's been up to earlier today at the slot machine. Stay like we found him. Dateline, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where Lavelle Neal III is apparently hanging out. Originally there, I think, to work. Now, I think he is there to play. He joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Do I have that right? You went to work, and now you're there to play.
Well, the original plan was to come here to play. And then I found out I was coming in a day after the Big Ten media football media session at Mandalay Bay, so I moved up my arrival so I could work and pick up a featured column. And I actually had a great conversation with Gophers defensive end Anthony Smith, who's a very nuanced, eclectic, well-rounded, layered individual. So it allows me to, one, right off the trip, and two, I got one comment. I want to get back to town.
As usual, Lavelle wins, is what you're saying. That's all you do.
Yes.
How much?
Although I didn't win last night at the table. Okay.
So when you're at the tables, what does that mean? Are you are you blackjack guy? What are you playing?
I flip-flop between blackjack and three-card poker. And my friends scream at me about not playing three-card poker, but I like the slower pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know. I sat next to a guy last night. That's how frustrating it was. I had a negative night last night. But I sat next to a guy, which means I was one hand away, and he won $5,000 on a $5 three-card poker bet. And I'm like, if I had just gotten here like a minute before he did, I would have been sitting in that spot. It would have been me.
Think about
stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's the way it works for you. So when you say you're down, are you Charles Barkley down, or not quite that bad?
Not even close to that.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
So plus, to be honest with you, I may be even because I actually had a nice run.
Okay.
Wednesday evening going into early Thursday evening.
Have you placed
Thursday nights when things went pear-shaped?
Do you place while you're there any sports bets?
Yes, I have.
Example.
Yesterday I did 3-team parlays.
3-team. So we talking about baseball games?
Yeah, you could bet like the total run scored.
Okay.
You could bet the money line, for which team to win. And so I had a 3-teamer in which I picked 2 teams to win, and I took the over/under in the Cardinals. I can't remember what the Cardinals played yesterday in the Cardinals game, and that easily went over it. So that was the highlight. That's the decline started moments after that.
Ooh, yeah. Well, are you pretty good about self-imposed limits? All right, like here's how much I'm willing to lose in a given night, or not so much?
Most part, yes, but there's always those couple of moments of weakness where you're like, this has got to be my time.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you've overstepped your boundary. But fortunately, I don't overstep them to the point where I have to get a second mortgage on the house
that wouldn't be good.
Go talk to a loan shark,
That wouldn't be good. How about slots? No slots for Lavelle?
No. It's weird because I got friends who love playing slots when they come out here, and they always send me pictures of when they're winning. I'm like, it seems to me that slots is like the number one moneymaker for these casinos because people are just dumping money into them. But I don't know. I got a couple of friends who love playing slots, and that's all they do when they come out here.
How about roulette?
Never played it. I barely played craps. I don't understand the game of craps either. That's a fast-paced game.
Oh, yeah, craps, sure.
I guess if you find the right person who's on a roll, and he's rolling for like an hour, I mean, everybody's making money, I've never been around one of those.
Are you cruising several casinos, or just do you stay with one?
I usually stay at Planet Hollywood because the senior casino host is Dave Windham, who's from Faribault, and he's a huge sports fan. He's a huge Vikings fan and Twins fan. So I've known Dave for over 20 years. So I always come stay at the house of Windham when I'm here. So unless I was at a convention a few years ago in Vegas, and it was at Mandalay Bay, and I stayed there because it was Mandalay, And there was also the winter meetings were at the Bellagio one year, and I stayed at the Bellagio, So
yeah, sure.
It varies.
I'm going to give you I'm going to play the 0-10 game with you, although you don't always understand it. In this case, 0 meaning no chance, 10 meaning a deadlock certainty of a chance. The Minnesota Twins will make what can be fairly described as a major deal, whether it's somebody coming or even somebody going, a major deal before the Thursday trade deadline or as the deadline wraps up. 0 to 10 is your range.
Okay, define major. See, major to me would be Joe Ryan.
Yes. Well, yes.
I don't know if it would Durant or Jats be considered major?
I think Duran would be. I think either one. Yeah. For the purposes of this discussion, I think yes. Even if you may think there's greater, there's more attached to a Ryan trade. Those are 2 pretty good relief pitchers who've become semi-fixtures here, right? So I would still call that, maybe major is the wrong word, significant. A significant deal. 0 to 10. What do you think?
The likelihood of a significant deal. those are the three guys that would qualify as significant.
Correct.
Will all three of them be here? I'm sorry, I'm a Strouder on this one. I'm going to give it a 5.
5? Why? That doesn't tell us anything.
I'm going to straddle because I don't know. Because to me, if you move Ryan, it's got to be an overpay. It's got to be a nice, a very just not like one or two guys. You have to get like solid talent coming back or multiple top prospects coming back for it to click. He's under control for 2 more years. He's 29.
Yep.
That's the height of his powers. And to be honest with you, Dan, too, if the Twins need to reset some things, I think you want to keep the rotation as stable as possible, right? It's not like they have someone. I mean, Zebby Matthews and David Festa could end up, being, threatened to be an all-star, down the road once they get more experience. But they're not there now. And you've got Pablo Lopez. So I don't know. I just think it would be. I don't know if they could get back from Ryan to justify the move. Jax or Duran, potentially, because you could argue that maybe Louis Varland could become the closer then.
Right.
If Duran is traded. So, and the other thing is too, regardless of who the owners are going to be a year from now, you hold on to Jax and Duran, they're going to get expensive. Duran's going to get expensive as a closer, and it's the Twins people who keep telling me that bullpens can be volatile. They could be great one year and horrible the next, and that's why it's a risk to lock up relievers long term. So, so I could see Jax or Duran being traded more of a possibility than Ryan. Then it's a whole other issue of, even though they're under control for a couple more years, you're trading a reliever. How much can you get back for a reliever? I mean,
true.
The Twins loused up. And they already made a bad trade years ago when he sent Wilson Ramos, an everyday catcher,
right, for
Matt Capps, the closer. But because the general rule of thumb is you want a position player for a reliever. I don't know if they get one back, but you never know. If there's a desperate team like the Dodgers, who have a terrific farm system,
right? That's exactly.
And we saw how bad that bullpen was in the Twins series. I was like, who are these guys coming out of the bullpen for the Dodgers? Good Lord! And they may be willing to say, screw it, let's just throw them a couple more prospects for Duran or Jax, and then we can just buy the best reliever on the market during the offseason if we need to. That's definitely possible. So. I can see a Jax or Duran trade more than I see a Ryan trade.
Is there any danger in assuming that Ryan has figured it all out? Baseball starting pitching is weird, as we've talked about for many years.
Yeah,
because we're all kind of talking about Ryan like, well, he's figured it all out and he's under team control forever. Why would you want to mess with that? Are we certain of that? I mean, I'm not downplaying how good he's looked. But, I mean, are we certain that, okay, now we can just, if you're talking about your starting rotation, you can just check that box that we got another one that we can invest in and assume is going to continue to be good, not just the rest of this season, but for the next 2 or 3.
I think Ryan has figured it out. I think he was talented when he came to the Twins in the Nelson Cruz trade. I think he has a definite, his win-loss percentage as a starter is very good. It's hard to find starters with winning career records all over the league. It's not a huge group, and Ryan's in that group. And he's gotten a little bit better every year with control, adding a pitch. He doesn't have a drop-dead 97-mile-an-hour fastball, but he knows what to do with his 93, 94. Once in a while, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a sweeper, and he's got other pitches, and he's right now. He's at the perfect combination of talent and experience, and he's continuing to get better. He was arguably an all-star last year, and then kind of went haywire toward the end and ended up getting injured. I think he's there. I think he's reached that point now where he's in the jet stream of being,
it's possible.
One of the top. He's definitely one of the top 20 starters in baseball. You could argue maybe top 15. You could maybe argue top 12. Then maybe pushing it a little bit, but he's in that group, man. Text
has just come in from our guy Izzy in Vegas. Tell Lavelle I have a great Irish pub for him to check out. here in Vegas. So your people can be in touch with his people later, because I know you love a good Irish pub.
Izzy's been trying to chase me down every time I come to Vegas.
Yeah.
He's like, "How long are you in town? Let's get together."
Yeah, come on,
because
man.
Izzy gets to live in the Twin Cities. So
Yeah, exactly. He's a big Lavelle fan, is what he is. So
Izzy Presley.
You can work that out on your own. Let's talk a little bit of football as well. We had a good conversation from the perch with KOC yesterday, and the one question I didn't ask him that I meant to.
Did you talk to him about the running game?
Oh, yeah, extensively. I mean, he says all the right things. The question is whether he'll stick to it, and I think there's reason to think he might, because I think he needs J.J. McCarthy to succeed. So I think that might be the hammer that forces him to basically follow through, not just with rhetoric on this issue, but with, action and performance in terms of the game he calls. He said flat out, I have to change the way I call a game. So we'll see how that goes. But what I didn't ask him was the question about benchmarks for J.J. McCarthy. The question was going to be, do you care about things like 4,000 yards passing and 70% completion percentage? Because that's exactly what your guy, Caleb Williams, vowed were his goals for the upcoming season. And I found that a little troubling, because I'm assuming that KOC would have said, I'm not hung up on those numbers. I'm more hung up on, can he make enough of the plays we need him to make when it's 3rd and 12? And to me, that's what should dictate how young quarterbacks think. Stop worrying about percentage numbers or yardage numbers. I think I don't. If you're a Bears fan, I wouldn't be encouraged by that, because to me, it shouldn't be about those kinds of individual numbers. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think Caleb was just trying to sound like he's got goals. I mean, he has big goals. It's great to have goals.
Yes.
It's great to be goal driven and have a target. But my thing is, the great answer, the answer he should have given was, you want what numbers you want from me this year? I want 12-5. I want 13-4. Because if we achieve that record as a team, that means I'm doing something right. And then the numbers were the stats as far as yardage and completion percentage and QBR will all look good at the end of the year. But I just want to figure out a way for us to get to 12 or 13 wins and do whatever it takes to get there.
Exactly.
That would have been a better answer.
Now, it's a cliched answer, but I still think it's a better answer. I just don't want to get hung up on all that stuff. What is interesting, and that's what I think the NFC, I've said a couple times, I think the NFC North is the most interesting division in football. And I don't think that's just myopic thinking because we're in the middle of it. I really do. There's so many fascinating storylines, and many of them having to do with the quarterback position. Let's face it. I mean, can the Vikings really contend like they want to on the basis of all their other personnel moves with a second-year quarterback who hasn't played it down? Can, Caleb make a big jump this year with the quarterback whisperer now in his corner? Can the Packers sort of, continue to assert themselves with a young quarterback who I think people like, but at times has shown some warts, maybe, Jordan Love? And then there's, of course, the questions about the Lions without their coordinators. I think it's a deep as hell division, potentially, and it's a fascinating division, top to bottom, in a way that it's rarely been.
And the Bears and the Vikings are similar boxes here because they both repaired the interior of their offensive line.
That's right.
In order to make things easier on their quarterback next year. Which team has done that more effectively?
Correct.
Will be something that's going to be worth watching this year. And the other thing, I'm sitting here looking as I'm speaking with you. I got the sports books projected win totals for the NFL this year.
What do we got?
In the entire NFC North. I'm sorry. It's separated by 2 games.
2 games, top to bottom.
They have the Lions at 10.5 wins over under.
Okay.
They have the Packers 9.5, and they have both the Bears and the Vikings 8.5 over under.
Ooh, I think that's a little disrespectful to the purple.
Well, last year we are predicting what 7-11 or 7-10.
I was negative. You're right. I didn't see.
Yeah, because I was down on Darnold. I didn't trust Sam Darnold. He was having a great year until the last 2 games.
Yep.
And so now the rhetoric's flipped because, well, they don't have Donovan anymore, so they're not going to win 13, 14 games. They got J.J. McCarthy. So J.J.'s in a position to prove them wrong. So the other fascinating thing, because I actually might write a column about this one, is that basically the two biggest football teams in the state, the Vikings and the Gophers, have basically redshirt quarterbacks.
True. Yeah, that's exactly
starting this
right.
year.
That's right.
And Drake and JJ. So that's another interesting thing to watch going forward this year.
Let me add this, and just something for you to put in your back pocket. According to some bumper-to-bumper intel, don't sleep on Max Brosmer. All I'm going to say.
Hey, you know what? Max Brosmer forced PJ to embrace the passing game.
Think about
something we never thought was possible. We thought that his perfect offense was to have Muhammad Ibrahim cloned so he can rush him 40 times a game and have like a 14-10 lead at halftime and just run the clock continuously to the second, the third, or fourth quarters and get out of there with a victory. Now he's allowed he's embraced the aerial part of the game, and it's up to Lindsey to prove to PJ that he could trust him putting the ball in the air. Because, and I said this in front of Gaardsy when he was here, I said, PJ's one of his big speeches and one of his big quips is, you can't lose the football. The football is the program. So when this quarterback drops back and throws, that the program's flying through the air with all kinds of hands trying to get onto it. Can Lindsey make the right decisions at the right time? I watched his high school highlights. He's got a nice arm. He likes to get the ball down the field. I don't know how mobile he is. That's going to be interesting to watch. And plus the Gophers have redone their offensive line too. So, but Brosmer has changed the way PJ thinks about offense. So we'll see how that continues this year with a different quarterback.
I got one other tip for you. No cap on the jar.
No cap on the jar.
You know about that?
Be delusional.
Yeah, be delusional. No cap on the jar. Who's to say? And
that's what Caleb was doing. Caleb Williams was taking the cap off the jar, going, "Hey, 4,000 yards,
that's
70%."
True. You could make that argument. I would just rather that he, like you say, concentrate on other goals and worrying about those, because nobody's going to care if he throws. As it is, he threw last year for like 3,600 yards. Big deal. He only threw like 12 interceptions too. But a lot of that, he's going to. Hopefully, this gets coached out of him. Is that he's risk averse, so he wouldn't even throw the ball in the tight windows because he wanted to turn it over. And in the NFL, you just got to make it. You have to make a few of those throws along the way. Where are we ever going to see you at Vikings practice? We're out there Tuesday and Friday next week. Might you be out there either of those days? Are you ever coming home?
I would say it's very likely you'll see me Tuesday. So I feel kind of bad that the camp is open without me, but I need to take this time off.
Well, I'll be honest with you. What KFC said yesterday is they actually thought about delaying the open until you got back out of respect for Lavelle Neal III, but ultimately they thought they had to go with the schedule that was in front of them.
Yeah, I've heard about KLC. He's always looking out for me. I really appreciate that. Yeah. PJ even gave me a fist pump here yesterday, which I wasn't expecting. Yep.
Wow. Well, yeah, it just goes to show you that you can never say never, right? Things can change. Things evolve. I mean, imagine, for example, if, 20 years ago, somebody with a crystal ball had said, eventually, Dan Barrero and Glenn Mason would be on a show weekly together in the same studio.
Are you nuts?
People say that's
and that Mason would want you to write his book.
And that Mason would want me to write his book. They say, out of your mind. The way I used to eviscerate Glenn Mason, and he's not wrong about that, I did. He earned it. He deserved it, but nevertheless, I did. I don't want to go back down that road too far.
Well, I mean, he did that with Chip Scoggins, who was a beat writer at the time.
That's true.
And after he left the Gophers, he met Chip and Dennis Brackett for lunch. And the first thing I was Chip, I want to let you know you just did a great job covering us. Always thought you were fair and you had good reasons for everything you wrote. And Chip's like, wait a minute. you tried to ban your coaches from being interviewed by me. You tried to keep me out of the locker room.
Yeah.
And Mace was like, well, I don't necessarily remember it that way.
Of course not.
But that's Mace, though. I'm not surprised.
It's fact and fiction is what it is. There's no question. All right, so what's on tap tonight? Good dinner tonight? You're going to see a show tonight or just more gambling?
There's a new Mexican restaurant. New Italian restaurant here at Planet Hollywood that I want to check out.
Okay.
I tried to get to last night, and I didn't. So I had a nice fat steak again last night. I've had 2 steaks for dinner since I've been here, so I need to switch it up here a little bit.
Why not?
And then after that, well, I do have to be in range of watching the Twins game, so I got to get to the sports book eventually to get ready for that. That game's in about an hour and a half.
It's really not a lot at stake. Yeah,
hour and 10 minutes.
What do you think we're on the verge, or what do you? I mean, what are you?
I'm sure they'll love to change the channel of that for you.
Right.
Well, right now they had the Brewers and the Marlins on, and if I had gotten here earlier, I probably would have put the Brewers demolishing the Marlins on my parlay card.
Oh.
But when I walked up to come talk to you guys, I noticed the Marlins had taken a 4-1 lead. I was like, maybe that was a good thing that I wasn't here on time. So we'll see how that one shakes out.
Lavelle, here's my closing thought for you today. In the immortal words of Parliament Funkadelic, free your mind and your ass will follow.
Yes, it will. That was prophetic word.
Can better, more philosophical words be spoken?
No. Especially from the master himself, George Clinton.
Free your mind and your ass will follow. Good luck. So go ahead on. It's just beautiful. It's just perfect. Have fun. Be safe in Vegas. And we will maybe see you at training camp next week.
That's the plan. Hopefully I get out here in one piece and I'll be able to join you.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Be good.
All right, later.
Lavelle Neal III. No summer hours for this bumper-to-bumper crew. We come back live with more controversy. That's next. St. Louis Park is very disappointed in, I guess, specifically Brett Blakemore.
Well, that's going to kill Brett.
Just listen to the podcast to hear how bad the Ken Pateri interview went. Heard him say ass once. Why did you edit the podcast? Very disappointed. Can we hear the unedited version anywhere?
Did he really go through and edit all that?
He probably did.
I thought we were just not even going to post it to not take chances.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if it was posted at all. I'm taking his word for it. I'm guessing if it was posted, the only way he was going to post it was to edit it. And I would say that was the right move.
It was.
Even though technically, again, in the podcast sense, language can be bluer, correct?
It can.
But I like that. I concur with the Blakemore decision if that's what he did. But I don't know.
Sometimes you got to listen live because you never know what's going to happen. We like to make everything available for all of you as often as we possibly can when you want it.
That's true.
But on the rare occasion, when an 81-year-old ex-wrestler drops an F-bomb and a bunch of S-bombs, you just got to be there.
I certainly, I think we're all praying that Lavelle will be able to find a TV that'll allow him to put the Twins game on because there's a lot at stake tonight.
Well, that's what I said. Are they even going to put that on in the book? Are they even taking bets on that game?
I'm not sure.
I guess they probably are.
Ask Lavelle about the Bears quarterback drama. What have I missed? Is it just that Caleb is not looking very good? I have heard that.
Yeah,
but is there drama beyond that?
I'm not
familiar. 651 guy, give me more detail. Well, I guess that's a detail. Williams not looking good in camp. That doesn't surprise me. I think that they're doing the old stripping them down to build them back up. And there is a good cautionary tale here. We talked about this a little bit on Enough Said last week. We go back to talk training camp stuff on Enough Said tonight. 9:30 on Fox 9, 10:30 tonight on Fox 9 Plus. That, Lavelle mentioned the Bears were just about as ambitious as the Vikings were when it came to redoing the interior part of their offensive line. The fatal flaw from the Bears is they waited a year longer than they needed to. And that's the beauty of the Vikings. In J.J. McCarthy's first year as a quarterback, starting quarterback, they are at least attempting to build the infrastructure around him to a level where he has the best chance to hit the ground running. The Bears didn't do that with Caleb Williams last year. They wished and prayed and pretended that they had a functioning or a functional enough offensive line that they would get through it. And it was an awful offensive line last year. So now you're in that position where you've now made the acknowledgement by refurbishing the offensive line, but you're also having to deal with the bad habits that in his first year, Caleb Williams tended to resort to. And you got to, as the new head coach, obviously, you got to, coach that out of him. So I'm not surprised it looks funky. I'm assuming Caleb is going to be the starting quarterback for the Bears in that Monday night game. But that's part of where I do give the Vikings credit. There's no guarantee that McCarthy's going to be up to this job to the degree that they hope. But you want to take away as many of excuses, because you could argue that if you're a Caleb Williams fan, you got your excuses. He wasn't great, but they didn't support him. They didn't have a very good. They had skill at running back and receiver, but they didn't have much in the trenches, right? And so their acknowledgement is they completely rebuilt their offensive line, sort of like we're rebuilding ours, at least ours on the interior part.
One
of the line.
KOC's favorite phrases, besides authentic and collaboration and culture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Write this down or think about it.
All right, I'll think about it.
Organizations fail quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, that's what
more than quarterbacks fail organizations on their quarterback journeys.
That's true. It's undeniable.
We've seen it a lot.
I mean, again, eventually you come to the conclusion that, well, wait a minute. No, we've put good people around him and he's still not very good. And then you say, well, we just overrated what he's capable of doing. He's just not as good as we want to think he could have been. What happened in Dante Culpepper's first season as the starting quarterback?
As a starter?
Yeah. What happened that year? What did the Vikings as a team do?
Well, I'm pretty sure his first year was 2000, wasn't it?
Yes, I think that's where I was going.
They went to the NFC Championship game.
Bingo. So the point there is precedent. Now, that was 41 Donut, right?
Yes.
But I don't know that you can put all that on him. But the point is, if you'll recall, I wrote extensively that the Vikings blew that pick. They passed on, who was the sack specialist that ended up at Tennessee, who was just dominant?
Javon Curse.
Curse for the first 3 or 4 years of his career. Now, he did fade, but I was in the group that said, let's see now. You are one outside pass rusher away from having a great defense, and you're kind of getting by with, using the quarterback by committee approach. It's not great, but it's okay. You got to take Curse. And that was the year they took Dante, right?
Yes.
And eventually, Dante, had a very good season that season, right? And actually had that wasn't his best statistical season, I don't think.
No, 2004 was. Right. When he was probably runner-up to Peyton Manning,
that's true.
In the MVP,
but
and then he got hurt.
He was obviously good enough where he didn't get in the way of us getting to the NFC title game that year, correct?
They were 11-5 in the regular season. He had 33 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, threw for almost 4,000 yards. So
I'm guessing KOC, again, maybe he doesn't want to be a numbers guy either, but he'd probably take those numbers. Interceptions, the way the league is set up now, might be a little high. But even then, for a first-year quarterback, or a quarterback that was his second year, right?
Yes, it was his second year first as a starter. Played one game in 99.
Yeah. So that's the precedent that exists on this team where you go, man, we'd take that, right? And I don't know, was the team around him, how do we compare the team around Dante Culpepper with the team around J.J. McCarthy? I'm going to need a refresher course on who we had that season. I actually think looking back on it, defensively we were worse, especially in the second. We were awful. We were on borrowed time in the secondary, and it eventually caught up with us, right, against the Giants in that game.
Yep.
Offensively, Who do we have on that team?
Well, Moss and Carter.
That's a good start.
So here's our offensive starters in 2000.
Okay.
Dante.
Right.
Robert Smith.
Howard Smith, yeah.
Klein Saucer. Chris Carter, Randy Moss. Tight end was John Davis. Offensive line was Stussy, Lucina, Burke, David Dixon, and Corey Stringer. That would have been his last season, Corey Stringer.
That's pretty good infrastructure.
Yes.
On the offensive side, for sure, is it not?
Defensively, John Randall, Chris Hovan, Tony Williams, Talance Sawyer, one of your favorites. Dwayne Rudd, one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Kylie Wong, Ed McDaniel. The secondary, Chris Dishman, Robert Tate, Robert Griffith, and Orlando Thomas. So it was a good team.
It was a good team.
Solid team.
Yeah. And it should hearten Vikings fans to say, well, maybe it is possible. Even with a guy who, had not played as a professional.
And had a year to season.
Which has
learned some
happened
stuff.
With JJ as well. I don't even know how we got here, but we did.
Young quarterback talk.
Young quarterback talk, I guess. Yeah, it works. All right. We got one more break to get to now. And we'll come back and give you some highlights and some lowlights from today's program. Remind you what we have coming up next week.
Bursic was on that team.
Was he?
Yeah, according to Pro Football Reference. Sorry to interrupt you, but okay. I'm just scrolling through to see if I know anybody else. Mitch Berger obviously was the punter. That was 41 Donut. Remember, Mitch Berger reminded you that halftime, second quarter of that game, he and Robert Smith were planning their trip to Mexico.
That's true. And I think Smith confirmed it to us as well.
He did.
Very in a moment of clarity. All right, let's pause, wrap things up as I mentioned, and give you some good ideas for what we have coming up in next week's program and even on Sunday sermons. Don't go.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
Part of today's program was the News on the March segment, I believe, between 4:30 and 5. And to call back to that, part of that discussion, Caitlin Collins, CNN reporter and anchor, is reporting that Ghislaine Maxwell was granted limited immunity to talk to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. I'm told that's confirming ABC. That's her way of acknowledging that ABC got there first, and she's confirming it. This was described as standard, and that since Maxwell has already been convicted, the only thing she could be charged for is lying in this interview, and proffer immunity does not cover that. The immunity would be standard part of a proffer or so-called Queen for a Day session, under which a witness can provide information without fear that anything she says can be used against her. Maxwell has maintained her innocence and has a pending appeal of her conviction, and now you can tell her attorney is saying they're getting a kind of excited about the possibility that the president might offer some form of clemency as well. So stay tuned for more on that. In addition, today we were joined by Friday regular Ben Gessling from Vikings training camp. That was fairly uneventful, other than the news confirmed that Justin Jefferson is dealing with what is described as a very minor hammy. But it's major enough that he pulled himself from practice yesterday, did not practice today. The assumption is he probably won't practice over the weekend, and who knows how long he's going to be out. Kevin O'Connell saying not a big deal, not anything that they're concerned about long term. We got into some defensive issues as well with Ben Gessling, and even the player other than J.J. McCarthy that he is most fascinated with. Hint, might be running game related. Also today, Lavelle from Dateline Vegas, where he talked about some of his betting woes. Talked about, he played it right down the middle on the 0-10 game, on the Twins making a significant deal involving either their starting pitcher, Joe Ryan, or either of their relief pitchers who are allegedly on the market, which means he told us absolutely nothing. 5 means nothing. It's just he's covering all of his bases.
He did say the disclaimer that he was doing that.
He did.
That he was completely straddling.
And it didn't really help us because it didn't give us any idea what he thinks might actually happen. But that's what he did. I can't do anything about it. And what else did we... Well, we actually spent some time, believe it or not, on Shaquille O'Neal savaging Rudy Gobert again. What's the date today? Today is July 25. Mm-hmm. My God. But I guess he had a podcast to drop, and it dropped yesterday. And he continued with his bizarre, peculiar obsession with the money that Rudy Gobert has made, and that as a player he didn't, even though it's not his fault, that it's not Rudy's fault that he's younger than Shaquille O'Neal is, and there's more money to be had than there once was. It's a very bizarre set of circumstances. I want to also remind you that there is some WNBA action tonight on the Fan. The first place Lynx taking on Vegas. What's the Vegas nickname? I don't even remember. Do you?
Aces.
Aces, that's right.
Yeah.
The Vegas.
They play at the Mandalay Bay where
Aces.
we just were. They had a game one of the nights I was there.
I should have asked Lavelle if he was going to pop over.
I don't think he wanted to make the walk again. It was a long walk from the hotel to the convention center area.
Walking's good for you.
Yeah, and actually he was at a different hotel even. It was hot.
Hot, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it over 100? Yeah.
It was right there at 100, basically.
That's
Big
tonight
Ten
on the
country.
Fan. For sure. Don't forget Enough Said tonight at 9:30 on Fox 9. And a little later start because I think of Saints baseball.
Correct.
On the Plus, we're scheduled to begin at 10:30 tonight as well. Lori Fisher back from her she claimed only one day off. And we get ever closer to the Great Minnesota Get-Together. We're going to do shows from there, the Fan has learned. Fox 9 shows, not just fan shows. It looks again like they won't be live, which is what I prefer. But they'll be live taped, as we say, during the day on the 2 Fridays. Is that correct?
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
That's what I assume.
We were reminded that first Friday will be preempted because the Vikings preseason football.
Their final game.
Their final game.
It's been a while since we've been preempted by the Vikings. We have the usual Gopher preemption.
So is that
second Thursday?
That's the second Thursday.
Yeah, the 28th.
Okay, so I got some time off. That's good. I mean, I assume it'll be 5 o'clock pregame on that first Friday?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's what we're going with. And that's unfortunate because Andrew Zimmern was locked and loaded for 5:30 on Friday.
Yeah. I hope you can work around that.
We're going to try. Yeah, we're going to try.
Jeff from Richfield, wasn't Todd Blanche Trump's personal lawyer at one point? You win the prize.
Ding.
Jeff, ding, ding, ding. We did, we might have mentioned that when this subject came up earlier in the program. 100% true. Clayton from Rochester says that Florio was on with PA and reminded us that the infamous Dishman play in Lambeau cost the Purple a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Instead, we got 41 donut. Would we have had home ice throughout the playoffs without that game?
We completely screwed up the entire month of December that year, I think.
I think you're right.
To get home field.
I think you're right.
And the Giants got it. And
again, the secondary became, via injury and ineptitude, just a mess to where they're asking offensive players. Who was it? Who was the receiver? God, I can see him. I can't remember.
Wasn't
his
it
name.
Robert Tate?
Robert Tate.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you want to play corner? We're desperate, and that was how absurd it was in the secondary. You think these Vikings have vulnerabilities in the secondary? That was nothing.
That's true.
Compared to the secondary back then, which is a shame because that actually was a pretty good offensive team. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Sermons is scheduled for 9 a.m. Sunday. I think Blake Moore will be with me. I hope he'll be with me. So we hope you'll join us then. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk Sunday morning.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the great time. We love you, Dan.
Well, go Twins. Thank you for the airtime, and I'll talk to you soon.